you by Addis Ababa City Government Education Bureau in collaboration with Addis Media Network. This is English for Grade 8. The presenter is Musakir Saifu. Our topic for today, that is lesson 24, personal hygiene, adverbs of frequency or adverbs. So before I proceed today's lesson topic, I would like to remind you what we learned in the previous time. You remember, students, last time in the unit 7, that is lesson 23, we learned about some vocabularies that are related to the personal hygiene. To remind you of vocabulary words such as harsh, mild, tooth decay, personal hygiene, shower, take care, and some other vocabulary words that are able to describe about this personal hygiene were our issue. And then I was trying to show you that some of the simple sentences, the way how to identify or learn or study the contextual meaning of these vocabulary words. I hope you made your own sentence and shared to your friends to each other. Therefore, while you are studying the vocabularies, not only studying the meaning of those words, but also you have to use those words or vocabularies using different kinds of sentences that are related to the issue or the topic that you learned. That's interesting. Our topic for today, that is a part of Unit 8, Personal Hygiene still. Now, that is lesson 24. Unit 8, Personal Hygiene. Personal hygiene. The topic is what? Adverbs of frequency. Adverbs of frequency. What are the common adverbs of frequency? I'm going to list down some of the frequency adverbs that we are going to study today. Adverbs of frequency, students, they are very important. We are able to use these adverbs of frequency in our day-to-day language contexts. So the common kinds of adverbs of frequency that we have to be and use in our day-to-day life is that, such as that is always. This is one kind of adverbs of frequency. There is one that is usually. Good. And often. Often. And sometimes. Sometimes. And one one is that is hardly ever. Hardly ever. And the other common that is rarely. And that is seldom. Seldom. And that is never too. Never. These are some of the common frequency adverbs. So these common frequency adverbs have to be used in our today language contexts. In all changes, I mean that's right. So always, usually, often, sometimes, hardly ever, rarely, seldom, and never. What kind of languages do they have in sentences? Yeah, some are similar in meaning, others are different. But we have to know about these kinds of adverbs of frequency in different contexts, right? We are able to use these adverbs of frequency in different language contexts. In sentence, we mean that. So I would like to state some of the forms before I'm going to make some sentences based on these adverbs of frequency. Let's go and see how do we use these adverbs of frequency are able to use in our day-to-day life at the same time while you are making sentences based on these frequency adverbs. Very interesting one. So you have to be in mind, right, students? These adverbs of frequency can be used in different sentences in 3 ways. 3 different ways. Yeah, function of or function, or another word that is position of the adverbs. Which adverbs? I have already stated them. They are frequency adverbs. There are three main positions of frequency of adverbs. You are welcome to use frequency adverbs in one way. That is what? Before the main verb. Before the main verb. What do you mean by that, before the main verb? Good. I would like to state some of these sentences here now. Before the main verb mean that. Right? Let's go among the list of the frequency adverbs that we have already tried to identify earlier. You're welcome. So, right? For instance, I always come to school on time. All right. She sometimes visits her grandparents. Her grandparents. Okay. They never watch TV while they are doing their homework. Yeah, this is the first function before the main verb. Look now, students. Before the main verb means which one is the verb among the list of these sample sentences. I always come to school, right? Or, oh, welcome. I always come to school, or I always come to office, I always come to class on time. Therefore, come here now, it is a verb. This is a verb, students. And then before the main verb means here it is. Here is the adverbs of frequency. Therefore, this is one position. You are welcome to use always before the verb. Come on. She sometimes visits her grandparents. Look at, this is a verb. Before the main verb means here it is. Sometimes it's another frequency adverb, so right? This is a frequency adverb. Still now it takes its position. It gives soundish. It gives beautiful meaning, right? Again, the third sentence or third example is, they never watch TV while they are doing their homework. What is that is here now? It's a main verb. Therefore, it's a negative form, right? Okay, and then it's also another kind of adverb. That's a frequency adverb. So don't forget that. These are the first position of adverbs of frequency. So I've just given you here now the sample example. Always, sometimes, and never. And some other adverbs of frequency are possible also. Just let me add one more example here now. It's okay? We hardly ever see what? A lion in the city, maybe. So, right? Yeah. Unless you are going to the zoo, you may not have a chance to see this one. So hardly ever. Look now, this is a main verb. Well, hardly ever is has already stated in the previous list of adverbs of frequency. You are welcome to use in such contexts. Therefore, look very carefully. In other words, these adverbs of frequency comes after the subject or before the main verb. Let's go and see the second one. The second position of adverbs of frequency is that Okay? After the verb. After the verb. What do you mean by that? After the verb mean that? Yeah. You remember that? Before the verb and after the verb. I would like to mention or to say some of the sentences. Right? Good. She is always punctual in her work. This is what you mean that after the verb. This is what? Verb to be formed, right? She is always punctual in her work. Let's go do some other sentence too, right? Yeah. Okay. Sometimes late at school. At school. But my intention is that's how to form all these adverbs of frequency comes after the verb. Look now. Where does this always? In the previous example, we're trying to show that how these frequency adverbs are used in the case of what? Before the main verbs. Now, after the verb. You are sometimes late at school. I would like to give you some other example too, right? Okay. The third one is that is, right? The weather. The weather is, right? Sometimes unpredictable. Unpredictable. In other words, it may rain. So okay, you can predict it. So look at, these are the verbs, right? These are the verbs. After the verb, you are welcome to use these what? Frequency adverbs. Don't forget that the difference between the previous sentences that we have seen so far and the recent one that I'm going to show you now, right? Let's go, and what about the other function of adverbs? The third one. Where does these adverbs lie on in sentence? Good. That is between the two what verbs? Between the two verbs. What do you mean by that, between the two verbs? I'd like to show you a very simple example. Those students. Come on, let's go and do. Between the two verbs means, don't forget that there are two verbs in a sentence. Therefore, between the two verbs, there is what? A frequency adverb. In what way? Let me show you that simple example. Good. Before that, would you mind if I give you some minutes to form your sentences in the previous time of the sentence? Come on. Text 30 seconds and try to make your own sentences before we proceed to the third one. Who's going to do it? Thank you very much. Share your friends for 30 seconds and then try to show that the position of adverbs what? Before the main verb. What it looks like. Before the main verb means, right? They sometimes just read the fictions, right? Or storybooks, like that. Very interesting one. And then you go to the second one, right? That I've stated. Number 2, that is after the verb. After the verb means that it's maybe that is verb to be, such as is or are or am, it's maybe. But you have to think about the adverb of frequency has to come immediately after the verb to be formed. Try to practice and show your friends your sentence what you have done. Have you shown it? That is an interesting one. Good. Now let's go and see the third type between the two verbs. What do you mean by the two verbs? Is it possible to put two verbs in one sentence? Of course there is. But only in the case of what? Frequency adverbs. Good. Let's go. Yeah? They have, you see, never seen an elephant in the city. Good. Look at this sentence. They have never seen an elephant in the city. What are the verbs? Here you have the verb. Come on. This is a verb. What about another verb? Here it is. Another verb. So between the two verbs, there is what? The adversarial frequency, that is never. Okay? And the other one that is, I would like to give you another example. Here, in other words, you understand the students, I would like to form here now. Don't forget that. You remember what we have talked about, the first function of adversarial frequency. Have never, okay, have never, and then have never. It usually goes with what? With the perfect form, of course it is. But still now they are what? Verbs. This is verb 3. This is verb 1. Right? Have never seen. Good. Let's go and see another sample examples. Right? Okay. Right? We should, okay? We should always check our email message. Here have. Which one is the verb here now? That is should. Yeah. And then what comes next? We should always check our email message. Right? And the other one is check. Here it is. Still not a verb. Should is also that is a verb. Right? What comes between the two verbs? There is another verb of frequency that is otherwise. Good. Number 3. They can, right? They can usually assure about their academic progress. Academic progress. Let's look at this one. They can usually assure about their academic progress. Can is here now, it's a verb. What kind of verb is it? It's a modal verb. Should is it's a modal verb. And then between the two verbs, assure is a main verb. Right? Usually is a frequency adverb. Look, therefore, this function of frequency adverbs in different position, okay, makes you to develop your writing skill. At the same time, you are able to use the grammar in the right way. In general, right, these adversarial frequency are possible in all cases. In all cases. Therefore, you are welcome to use in different sentences. At the same time, it helps you while you are using these frequency adverbs, students, right? While you are just chatting any kind of issue with your friends, the positions are easy. You are welcome to use in different positions. There are 3 options. How get me? 3 options. Among the 3 options, I'm sure that you are able to develop and implement and use the language context while you are interacting with friends, interacting with your teachers, interacting with anyone else. So don't be confused about it. Some of you are using one of the position of adversarial frequency using the first part. That means you may use after or before the main verb. Before the main verb. That's maybe easy for you. You are welcome. It doesn't bring any change in meaning. Yeah. Maybe some of students are good at using the adverb of frequency after the verb, as I have stated earlier. After the verb. And possibly, it doesn't bring any change. Still now it's okay. Again, in the third case, some of students are good at using the adverb of frequency in such a way as it is listed here now. That means between the two verbs. See? So when counting the case of the between the two verbs, look, you have to bear in mind, all the verbs are stated here now. But we don't mean that these verbs are the same. No, they are not. They are different. Okay? Yeah, two V1 verbs never come together at the same time in one sentence. One must have to be what? A modal auxiliary verb. The other one that is, or in other words, helping verb. And the other one is, that is a main verb. Therefore, while you are practicing and doing such kind of sentences in the frequency adverb, you are welcome. Okay, thank you so much. Now next to this, let me give you one example, and then you are welcome to insert these frequency adverbs in different sentences. Good. Are you ready for the classwork? Thank you very much. Good. I'm going to give you any of the frequency adverb that suits you. You are welcome to insert it. The instruction is that, right? Put any of the suitable, that possible, you see, frequency adverbs in the sentence given below, or in the spaces, given below. Good. Right. Let me list down some of the sentences. Put any of the suitable frequency adverb. Yeah, that you are welcome to use any kind of adverbs. If that suits for that sentence, you are welcome. Good. We blank. Okay. Football. Right. Every Saturday. Number 2. Good. Be or right? They are what? Reading storybooks. Number 3. Good. She has very nice. Let's go and do these 3 sentences. You see, they are all possible in all cases, but the sentences are different in their structure. You see, you are expected to feel what? The frequency adverb before the main verb, 1. The second one stands for the second case, right? You have to put any of frequency adverb that's you to it to complete after the verb. And the third one is that stands for referring to the third type of or function of the adverbial frequency forms between the two verbs, has and, that's this reform visited. So now I would like to give you again 30 seconds in order to complete your job. Welcome, students. Good. That's interesting. That's all right. You are welcome. And share your works with your friends. Will you, please? That's interesting. Thank you very much. That's right. Good. So these three questions are lying on the function of the adverbs that we have seen so far. I'm sure that it may be that so easy. See? Right? That's why, because these adverbs of frequency are possible in all the cases. Let's go and just check your answer. Maybe your answer, obviously, that is quite correct. Good. We blank play football every day. Why that? Think about it. Shall I guess? Good. Lot of possible answers are here now. We blank play football every Saturday. Maybe you are welcome to say here now. One student may say that always. We always play football every Saturday. Possible. Is it only always? No, it's not. Not only always. Yeah, maybe sometimes. You know why? For those students, okay, who do have a program with your families to go and visit your relatives or grandparents, you are welcome to answer this question. Still now it's quite correct. Sometimes. Possible. If you like, you are welcome. Usually. Possible. Yeah. We usually play football every Saturday. All right? We often, also possible. Often. 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 Right? And if you like, you are welcome. Never also possible. Yeah. Possible. We never play football every Saturday. That's why maybe called us. It's a time for washing your uniforms. It's a time to help your parents maybe, right? Not the whole day playing football. Rather, never is also possible here now. Look how this sentence is strong enough. We are able to study all the adverbs of frequency in one sentence. Yeah. Why it makes you to use all these frequency adverbs in one sentence? That's why, because, right, it comes before the main verb. Come in again. They are blank reading storybooks. They are sometimes reading storybooks. The same frequency adverbs are also possible now. You see? They are reading. They are never read, or it's possible that, except never. Don't see that never here now, right? They are sometimes reading storybooks. They are usually reading storybooks. They are often reading storybooks, etc. Come on again. She has blank visited Lalibela. She has often visited Lalibela. Are they possible or not? Maybe, right? She has never visited Lalibela. Or she has sometimes visited what? Lalibela. I mean, maybe it's once or 2 years. Once 2 years. She might have a chance to visit that. But most of the time, never that is appropriate one. Right? Or if someone doesn't have any chance to use what? Frequency adverbs, you are welcome to use in such a way too. Right? Have you ever visited Lalibela? Good. Question mark. Don't forget that this is also frequency adverb. Why we use only to ask for question. Yeah. But don't use that. She has ever visited Lalibela. No. She has never visited Lalibela. But if you want to ask question, have you ever visited Lalibela? Yeah, of course. I have never visited Lalibela. Well, your response has to be in such a way. That's an interesting one. I'm sure that students, you understood a lot of issues in trying to understand the way how we use what these adverbs of frequency in different contexts. To remind you again, don't forget that using these frequency adverbs in three positions: before the main verb, after the verb, and between the verbs. Stick on the examples that I have shown you so far and try to practice at home. So next time, you have to make some sentences which is similar with this and then show to your friends as usual. That's all we have for today, students. Till we meet next time. Thank you, students. Goodbye, everybody. Goodbye.